second part of our standing committee's budget deliberation. Today is Monday, the 16th of March, and we will be today deliberating on vote 14, local government, and that is as part of the Western Cape Appropriation Bill B1 of 2026. I would like to welcome everybody who has joined us today in attendance. And if we can just begin the meeting, I'm going to give the opportunity to members present to just introduce themselves for the record. And as we usually do, if any members are able to, please put your cameras on when you are speaking and keep them off along with your microphones when you're not speaking. So if we can then hand over to members for introductions.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Leon van Wyk, a member of this committee. Good morning to other honourable members, Minister, HOD and officials.
Yes.
Good morning, Chairperson. Grant Marie. I'm a member of this committee. Good morning, Minister and the department.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Beauty Stoffels and I'm a member of the committee.
Good morning, Chair. Am I audible?
You are audible.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, Minister and officials. My name is Noko Masipa. I'm a member of this committee. Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Chair. Derek Wessels, member of the committee.
Thank you so much. I think that's everybody. Ms. Nikak, did we receive any apologies?
No, we have not, Chairperson.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Okay. We will then move on to the first item on the agenda, which is the deliberation on the vote. And I'm going to hand over to Minister Bradell to introduce his team. A big welcome to you, Minister, and all of the members who have joined you. If you can then just take us through the basics around the deliberation for vote 14, and then hand over to your officials for that brief presentation, after which we will then take questions and answers on the more detailed sections. Over to you, Minister Bradell.
Thank you, Chairperson, and apologies. You will see I'm on voters' computer. I'm every meeting on a different computer today, but at least we're here. Chairperson, thank you for the opportunity to say a few words before the committee begins its discussion on the 26-27 budget for the Department of Local Government. This is an election year, and from experience, I know that officials of this department are going to work extremely hard to ensure that service delivery in our municipalities continue as we manage the uncertainties and instabilities that often goes hand in hand or together with democratic processes. Also, Honourable Chairperson, allow me to thank HOD Paulse and the senior management staff of the department and all dedicated officials in the Department of Local Government on behalf of the Western Cape Cabinet for the crucial support role it performs for all 30 municipalities in the Western Cape. And it feels like every year that there's more pressure on the department, more pressure on the officials, and every time they step up. So we really appreciate that. Chairperson, working with local government can be very frustrating at times, but this department dedication over many years is one of the main reasons why the Western Cape municipalities continue to stand head and shoulders above all the other provinces in the country. This is something we owe to to the people of our province. And it is something I wish we can do for more municipalities in the country. Obviously, we try to play our role through MinMex to also support our other provinces when necessary. Chair, thank you also to the members of the Standing Committee for the important oversight role you fulfill. I personally understand the role of oversight. I understand the importance of oversight. It's part of our success. It's that there's people keeping us on our toes, so we really appreciate that. So with those couple of words, I'm going to hand over to HOD Paulse to take us through the revised budget for 25-26. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thanks, HOD Paulse.
Honourable Chairperson, good morning. Honourable members, good morning. Minister, good morning. And my colleagues on the platform, good morning. Chairperson, I'm going to join the Minister in his comments in terms of the introduction of the budget. We have actually put together a infographics that deals with the highlights of the budget. So in my view, some of the highlights are limited to water, energy, obviously disaster management, including the fires in the province, and then the local government elections, which is most probably scheduled for the latter part of this year. So if I can take you just briefly through the infographics that we have submitted to the committee, you'll see that the over the MTF, 26 MTF, that in 2026-27, the budget is 449 million, 450 million, and then it slightly declined, and we can speak to that in a moment, 27-28 to 429 million, 30 million, and there's a further decline to 424 million or 425 million. So if you compare this budget to the revised estimates of 24, 25, 26, you will see it's an increase of slightly over 4%, which equates to about 17.4 million year on year. And that's compared to the revised estimates of 25, 26. You look at the programs, program 1 is about 63 million, program 2, 194 million, and obviously program 3, it's 191 million, with program 4 just about 1.5 million, and that's to do with the COISAN and related matters. So if you look, Chairperson, as I say on here, it's about a 4%, 17.3 million, and the main portion of the budget actually goes to water. And it's both to deal with the drought that we are experiencing now and the sort of the emergency work that we are doing with municipalities at this point in time, but it's also over the medium and long term, and that sort of in terms of what we've developed last year and launched last year is the Western Cape Water Resilience Strategy. And for the initial year, it's just about 41 million, 42 million. But if you look over the entire MTF, it's in the region of 127 million for water and water resilience in the province. The difference is there is now a drought classification, a national drought classification, and it relates to the 3 provinces, the Northern Cape, Western Cape, and Eastern Cape. We've asked for a provincial classification. The National Disaster Management Centre has opted for a national classification. We have petitioned the Provincial Treasury in this session for additional funding to deal with the emergencies in relation to the drought and the water disruptions, but we also secured funding for the water resilience over the medium and long term. And then the second highlight is around the energy. You will see there's some minuses and pluses. So you will see that we have contributed to the NICE energy project, both for solar and for battery storage. Was in total over the MTF over the last 3 years is 173 million. We are now transferring the last 37 million to Hesekwa. The project is 92% complete, but we still have additional funding for the energy response in the province, and that mainly relates to capacity, to about cost supply studies, and energy master plans, but as well as additional capacity in terms of for municipalities in relation to specialists. So those are mainly the two highlights, Chairperson. And if I can take you to the second part of the infographics, you can see it's earmarked funding. Again, 3.3 for CDAF. There's a contribution that we are making to it. I must say, we had a session with the Danish and the Swiss colleagues on, I think, Friday under the minister's guidance. And we have now major projects for bankability. There's still further assessments to be done around it, and it's particularly Swartland, Overstrand, and Saldanha Bay. And these are sort of full financing. So when it's finalized, we will most probably, with our colleagues and our service providers, put it out on the market and see whether there's actually interest to finance this. We're also working with other municipalities, and our other service provider is finalizing what we call the implementation plans. And there we're going to go for option of public-private partnerships, and that's about 3 billion that we are putting out. Program 3, Chairperson, is 127 million over the MTF, and I say again, that's for water. And that is to deal with the water challenges in the province, both the emergency work that we need to do, as well as the water resilience over the medium to long term. Program 3 also highlights the energy, as I spoke about, but Program 3 is also fire and rescue capacity. That is both the grant, but it also deals with our capacity to deal with the fires in the province. You know that to date for this year, we've just spent over 21 million on fires. We had a budget just for about 17 million. We've petitioned the Provincial Treasury to assist us, and by the movement of funds internally, we could manage the 21 million. So we have spoken to the Provincial Treasury extensively to enable us to become proactive. And you will see both in the earmarked allocations as well as the provincial priorities, the Provincial Treasury has given us additional latitude to deal with the aerial firefighting in the province. And I'll just highlight now the two. So, Chairperson, you have seen both the earmarked allocations and the provincial priorities. So there's a difference. The earmarked allocations is specific. You can only use it for that purpose. There's no discretion by the accounting officer or the department to move that funding around and to use it for other purposes. Although on the provincial priorities, there is latitude, it's wide, there is flexibility to which extent the department can use that funding for that particular area. So it might have happened that in the past, some of the provincial priorities were earmarked funding, and then over the while shifted to provincial priorities. We also need to report on a regular basis on the earmarked allocations. I've highlighted just in terms of the earmarked allocations, the CDAF program. We continue to do the work there with the external service providers and also with Green Cape. And you will see the anticipated disaster management, the work that we are doing, and you can see also the technical communications during major electricity disruptions, and that is where we want to continue with our communication. If there are disruptions, and there was a view of getting satellite phones, so where critical stakeholders in the province can actually talk to one another in that regard. And then, Chairperson, the important thing under the Minister's guidance is this about our capacity grants. And we're continuing creating opportunities for municipalities to increase their firefighting capacity, their disaster response capacity. And this grant we provide to municipalities, whether those are the fire trucks or the equipment or hazard material that they are buying, that is what we make available. And if we see the water and the drought support, first part of it, Chairperson, is around the water resilience, the various projects that we have identified in concert with municipalities. We are working with our hydrologists, scientists in the areas of municipalities, as well as various service providers, and then also the drought response that we're having, so the 22.5 million. And that is how we assist municipalities, Chairperson, particularly in relation to the water resilience and the drought. And we have now many projects underway as a result of the emergency work that we need to do with municipalities. And on a weekly basis, under the minister's guidance, we are meeting with all the provincial ministers, the premier, the mayors, the HODs, as well as the municipal managers on the water and on the foot and mouth disease. And we track what's happening in each town of each municipality, to what extent they are at risk. And perhaps at another time, we can take you to a similar presentation. We track the dam levels to understand what the dams are doing and how they're performing. We know that the recent week we had a heat wave, and that impacts on the dam levels, but also how we respond where municipalities have been categorized at higher risk in terms of water supply. And that work we're doing on a weekly basis, and we're also deploying some of our own hydrologists and engineers to some of the municipalities. Energy, we continue with the work there, Chairperson. I have indicated the master planning and the cost of supply studies. We are assisting municipalities that actually consider the option of renewable energy, and how do we advise them in relation going forward. And then, Chairperson, just the policy priorities. It is about, you will see we've got additional funding for both water and energy. You know that we've petitioned the Provincial Treasury for a long time now, because we can't do the work with people that are appointed on contracts in the organization. It requires us to be in a recruitment and selection process consistently, instead of focusing on the work outside with municipalities and citizens to ensure that they have sustainable energy and sustainable water. And I must say, and I must thank the Provincial Treasury and the Western Cape government that they have not given us funding to full capacity on a permanent basis for both water and energy, Chairperson. We are now busy with the recruitment and selection process in that regard, and both water and energy is our engineers that we wish to appoint, and this will help us focusing on the work outside. There is water security, and that is the two lower parts that you see there is for goods and services. While we do appoint the staff, we also need for goods and services. Chairperson, we have also petitioned the Provincial Treasury for Program 1, because as the department actually increases, the work increases, there's additional work on Program 1, and we've asked for additional funding. The Treasury has declined that request, so we still need to do further work, and we will continue petitioning the Provincial Treasury for that. Staff, about 15 staff members have indicated they wish to apply for the early retirement and voluntary exit program. That has been approved by myself as accounting officer and the minister as executive authority. The National Treasury has approved it, and that's a funding that we are making available that we need to cover, whether that's the leave and the proportional payouts in terms of the bonuses amongst the other, Chairperson. We continue with the work on support services. There is work around the traditional Khoisan. And Chairperson, just to highlight a couple, obviously the rapid response, what we want to establish within the organization, and that process is now in the recruitment and selection process, where we want to deploy support to the municipalities on a rapid basis, create that capacity internally, so whether that's engineers or whether that in the administrative staff, to then say they will deploy where there's key challenges in municipalities. You can see the integrated fire management, Chairperson. Here, the Provincial Treasury has given additional funding, and that's a latitude how we can apply that money. So particularly when our budget is being exhausted on the fires and the amount of fires, we can then tap into this funding and not ask the Provincial Treasury to help us. And you can see the Provincial Treasury has heeded to our call to say, let's become proactive and don't let us be reactive in asking you for funding and so on. So I must also express my appreciation to the Provincial Treasury for that initiative. Obviously, there's work. The highlight is around the municipal support in pre and post elections, the government elections. You can see this is about 7.5 million for that purpose. and how this department manages the transition from the existing to the new. There's various initiatives that we are doing in the department to ensure that as transition is smooth. Whether the demarcation process has now been concluded, the minister has published now in terms of the boundaries and also the amount of councillors or wards in each of the municipalities. We then obviously we have regular meetings with the IEC on the transition, but also the date around the local government elections and how do we prepare. But then there's a set of initiatives in the department, Chairperson, and we can speak to you about it and just highlight to you what we are doing to ensure that there's a smooth transition. And then, Chairperson, perhaps just the last that I want to bring to your attention is the work that we are doing around the shared services. Municipalities is significantly underspent to get additional capacity. There's additional work that we're doing around the salaries of senior managers and municipal managers in the province. You know, they are also going through what we call a white paper review. And just we had last week another session on the white paper in the province. And then just the last portion, Chairperson, is 8.3 million on geological services or geohydrologist and communication. And this is particularly an amount of more than 5 million is allocated for the geohydrologists and the engineers that we are working with currently in Neisden. You know, the Neisden municipality has asked the Western Cape province or the Western Cape government to assist with the water function. We have agreed under the guidance of the minister. We have included with the acquiescence of Neisden municipality the waste, the roads, as well as sanitation, but working for water. So we will deploy some of our own engineers and geohydrologists to Neisden. And then there's a significant communication campaign in the province to raise awareness about responsible water use in the province. Chairperson, those are the highlights currently, and I can elaborate if there's additional questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, HOD Paul, sir. So just to confirm, there's nobody else who is going to be presenting.
Chairperson, can I just ask if the CFO's got any additional comments?
There was an infographic that was circulated that all members have received. Perhaps that can be flighted also just in case there are some members who haven't seen it. It's a nice way to get to grips with the basics of the budget. Shireen, would it be possible? Are you able to flight that? Oh, wonderful. Someone's doing it already. Thanks.
Chairperson, I flighted it, so just the highlights.
Great. I just want to see, is the CFO going to comment?
Good morning, everybody. Actually, I have nothing further to add. You've covered everything.
All right. Then I will take it that everybody has had a chance to go through the infographic. I'm then going to open up to members for any questions of clarity or inputs. Members, please raise your hand through the raise hand function if you would like to ask a question. The relevant section is detailed page 739 to page 793. It's the last section of the Blue Book, vote 14. So I'm now going to give members an opportunity to ask any questions of the minister or the department. I see Member Stoffel. Member Stoffel, over to you.
Good morning, Chairperson. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you very much. Chair, let me first apologize for not showing my face on the camera. You know, most me and camera was never friends. But I can declare that I am the original person, a member of the committee who's representing the African National Congress in the committee, and I'm a permanent member of the committee. Secondly, let me greet the MEC and the entire department, acknowledging the good work that they are doing. Although I think there is still some other areas, there's still room for improvement. But let me thank the input from both of them. Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, let me go to the questions. My first question, obviously, is on page 739 in terms of the allocations. And point of reference is allocations for the next 2 financial years. Chair, as we all know, that on a daily basis, the department is supporting the municipalities with that is in distress. But what is the municipalities really doing about those municipalities that is in financial recovery and that is not really showing the results by this time around that the department was expecting? Remember, there's a time frame with a financial recovery plan. So a recovery plan cannot be forever and ever. So I want to know, when it comes to distressed municipalities, then which municipality support functions are expected to absorb this kind of I don't know whether I can say reductions or whatever, but there is a name for it. And then I can go to page 5.1, supporting good governance in municipalities. And then my point of reference is to facilitate and sustain good governance, accountability. The department initiated a range of capacitation and support programs for municipalities across various local government disciplines. Now, my question is, how are municipalities practicing good governance, incentivized? And then coupled with that, still on page 751, I go to the ICT. It's my point of reference there is ICT support to municipalities aimed to improving residents' life. When it comes to the service basket and the tariff structures. So I want the department to give me more on that specific sentence there, because the last time I know it was under a review. So maybe we can just maybe get in kind of an elaboration in terms of that. How far is that process? And then, and if that has been implemented, is there any fruits of that process? Then I go to page, sorry, Chair. I'll go then to page 752. Then my part, it's water resilience. Then my point of reference there, the Western Cape Water Resilience Strategy was launched on 31st of October. Does this problem extend to existing damage or outdated water infrastructure? And then I want to know also from the department, in terms of the municipalities, we all know that infrastructure is a problem within our province. especially when it comes to these water pipes and all those kind of things. I want to know from the department, except for NISNA, except for which other municipality also experience this kind of infrastructure problem, or are the department going to wait up until there is now an incident whereby they will discover also the same similar problems as NISNA and Beaufort West or whatsoever? Is there other municipalities where the department have done a study in terms of the infrastructure of these municipalities? And if so, is there any proper assistance being given? And if the assistance was being given, is there any progress in that assistance? Because we cannot just give assistance and there's no progress in these processes. I'm not sure, Chair, if I can carry on.
Remember, it's up to you. I'm more than happy for you to ask all your questions now if you would like to. The only other hand at the moment is Member Murray, so you're more than welcome to ask all your questions.
Okay.
I'm sure the department will be more than capable of answering them in one go. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, my next question is on 757, and that is about disaster management capacity. Chair, that is when it comes to, and my point of reference there, Chair, is over the medium-term expenditure framework. The department will focus on strengthening the provincial disaster management system to improve preparedness response and mitigation capabilities. Office, it's very good. But Chair, the thing is at a local level, from province to local. At a local level, Chair, and I do respect the reports received from the different districts and municipalities, but what our people experience is not what is being reported. I would really love maybe the department at a later stage to consider a proper management system when it comes to the disaster management at a local level. But come to my question is that we are faced with climate change at play, with the increase of drought and fires, with the department doing strengthen the capacity and resources in smaller municipalities to be able to respond to these disasters and manage them better. Now, Chair, I'm going back to my point that I will always raise. And I want the budget to, I was checking on the budget, where does this falls in? I will put my emphasis again, Chair, on the informal settlements. In the province, there's not yet a clear strategy how to deal with these fires within the formal settlement. Yes, Chair, there is an indication from the department to say they have installed alarms and they have installed. But we must acknowledge, Chair, within the bulk of the municipalities in the Western Cape, that alarms is not there yet. And my question is, with this budget, is there program for the Western Cape to attend those municipalities not yet been receiving that fire alarms of whatever they call it? Because we are experiencing these things and we don't see that. So the department can maybe assure me, or maybe I have missed it on the budgeting to say, yes, it is budgeted under this item whereby it will make provision for that. Then in terms of also on page 57, and I'm referring now to the disaster management capacity still, how many staff appoint positions remain vacant in this disaster management structure? And then also, How does the department ensure municipalities use infrastructure grants effectively when it comes to that? I will pause now for now, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Stoffel, for those questions. Member Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the sound is a bit faint on my end, but I hope that I'm audible.
Yes, you're absolutely perfect.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I just want to make reference to page 752 of the big the budget book estimates for provincial revenue and expenditure. Now, my question is relating to the energy resilience strategy, I would say, then of the province, with specific reference to Essequa municipality, that particular project. Now, I know that when the Premier or the Minister launched this project, it was with the aim of, and I think it still is, of course, the aim of securing energy security, system reliability and resilience. Now, if I look at the amount of 173 million rand over 3 financial years being spent on this project, my question is then, are we going to get value for money in terms of the benefit passing on to the resident or the ratepayer at the end of the day, including the municipality deriving a benefit, not just in terms of reliability, but also in terms of income? Electricity is becoming very expensive. Even today, we heard the announcement of what's happening in Drakenstein with the more than 6% increase in electricity costs. So I want to know whether there is going to be a electricity cost benefit passed down to the resident eventually, with all this money that we are spending on securing energy supply. We don't have any load shedding at the moment. There's no load shedding that's happening. And so I think that I'd like to just get an idea of when will we see a benefit passed on to the resident in terms of cheaper electricity, and then also can we get some more information regarding this project? Thank you.
Thanks very much, Member Maria. I don't see any other hands, so I'm going to hand over to the Minister and the HOD for those responses.
The HOD and the team can go.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, and thank you for the questions. I can deal with 2 ways. I can respond to the questions. I can ask the colleagues to respond to the question, and then maybe just cover the sweep the questions at the back. Sandra, do you want to go first just on the financial recovery plan and the other related questions on the ICT? And then Colin on disaster management, Sandra also some of the water and energy. And then I will add further context to some of the questions. Sandra?
Good morning, Chair and members. Thank you for the questions. In terms of the 2 financial allocations with regard to specific support to municipalities, I can just indicate that given our monitoring and support strategy, I really think that we're busy institutionalizing our approach to support in the municipalities. With reference specifically to the Section 139 municipalities that have got financial recovery plans, the way in which the department supports provincial treasury is by also developing a Section 154 support plan, specific to our mandate, which is governance and service delivery. By developing a Section 154 support plan, we actually delve a little deeper into some of the root causes that may have created the financial challenges that the municipality is facing. And we therefore put in place a very specific support plan for that municipality, addressing all the challenges, and it is across the different municipal business units that we do so. In some cases, we even go as far as doing a diagnostic assessment, and therefore we work with our colleagues from Environmental Affairs and Development Planning. Sometimes we've also brought in water and sanitation, and it then also covers waste as well as development planning, as well as then the water and sanitation, and then quite a few units within our own department to ensure that we address challenges that the municipalities have got and that they need support on. With regard to the question in terms of those municipalities who do well in terms of good governance, we've got in the province a Service Excellence Awards program, and we are at the moment busy looking at the criteria again. We've decided to extend the criteria in the Service Excellence Awards to not just the local municipalities, but also including the Cs and maybe even looking at different sizes of Bs, because obviously they've got different functionalities, they've got different functions that they've got to take care of. But internally, we also make use of various IGR forums to almost expose those municipalities that are not, from our perspective, using good governance as well as they could to learn from their peers. So we're also using that approach in the province. Then when it comes to the basket of services, that study we did in 2019 as the baseline. Yes, we've concluded the study in 2025. We extended the study beyond just looking at a dignified life for all, but also looking at what a basket of that is a dignified life should look like in terms of water, sanitation, waste and refuse removal, and electricity. And at the moment, we're in the process of engaging with all the sector departments just to ensure that we're becoming quite innovative, because we know that our resources are quite stretched at the local government level. We only have so much resources to go around to already cater for everyone in terms of basic services. So we've got to start becoming innovative as to how we're going to fund it if we need to increase the basket of services. And just to, for example, give an example of what we're looking at currently with our sector departments, and we've already engaged with social development, environmental affairs and development planning, specifically with regard to climate change and waste and education. And we're looking at innovative things such as trying to ensure that we create good behavior in the spaces, for example, ensuring that people, take their children to school, and if they do, then how can we possibly incentivize them from that perspective? So I think for our sake at the moment, we're looking at the how of implementing. And once we've had the conversation at a provincial level, we'll also make sure that from a municipal administrative level, the proposals that we come up at a provincial level are implementable. I could answer the questions with regard to the water resilience strategy, but I would, if Marius wants to rather do that, I could possibly just hand over to him to do so. But I just want, in terms of the energy resilience strategy, we are working very closely with the Department of the Premier on that strategy. And there are various departments that have informed the strategy. So specifically with regard to HESEQA, I do want to just take the member to page 752, and Marius can talk a little bit more about it, and we are more than willing to do a presentation specifically on the HESEQA project. But the member would see, I think it's the 4th paragraph from the top. At the moment, we are at 92% completion. And we have created approximately 150 temporary construction jobs at this stage. Once the project is finished, we would most probably have created about 20 permanent positions in operations, maintenance, and administration. And yes, it would reduce reliance on Eskom. I think Marius is in a better position to most probably tell the member when cheaper electricity would be available to municipalities, because I know that we're doing quite a lot of research at the moment between ourselves with a basket, as well as in terms of energy specifically to the municipal space. Marius, do you want to come in?
Is Marius available?
Yeah, Chairperson, let me in the absence of Marius, I think he's got problems. So I want to just connect with Sandra in her comments and the responses. So to the honourable member Stoffels, I mean, the financial recovery plan is where there's consistent, serious financial challenges in a municipality that requires the National Treasury, the Provincial Treasury, and the Department of Local Government to work together to restore the finances of municipalities that have been subjected to a financial recovery plan. So the three municipalities currently in the province is Kanaland, Beaufort West, and Theewaterskloof. We are working together with the National Treasury and the Provincial Treasury in support of the financial recovery plan. We have seen, particularly in some of these municipalities, that the progress is actually slow and is not to what we would expect. And these municipalities, including Matsikama, have been municipalities that were beneficiaries of the Eskom debt write-off. Now, it implies when they do that, they must actually honor their current commitments around it. And there is regular meetings between ourselves, the recipient municipality, the National Treasury, and the Provincial Treasury to track the performance of the financial recovery plan. The financial challenges is not necessarily as a result of the finances itself, but extends to the ability to manage the finances. It extends to the ability of councils to make informed and considered decisions around the finances and so on. And it includes the governance. So we also deal with that to ensure that that the municipalities do respond to the actions that have been identified in the detailed financial recovery plans of municipalities. I think Sandra has spoken about the good governance as well as the ICT support. The problem here, Chairperson, is that municipalities become exposed to hacking and that kind of stuff. And I must say that the department have done extensive work to help municipalities around this initiative, but also to strengthen the ICT capacity within municipalities. Just on the water resilience, we have launched the water resilience strategy of the Western Cape the 1st of October last year. And Chairperson, it contains 4 areas. It contains the area of water augmentation, water conservation and demand management, and then it contains governance, the way municipalities go about their water infrastructure. But then the key component, I think, which Honourable Stoffels has raised, is around infrastructure. So it is around the maintenance, the refurbishment, and the replacement and the development of infrastructure. And that's a key component of that Western Cape Water Resilience Strategy. So Chairperson, what has happened subsequent to the strategy, we are now finalizing what we call implementation plans for each of the municipalities. And this will ensure what is the state of infrastructure in each of the municipalities, where there's augmentation, where there's demand management, and where there's governance issues in municipality. And it actually extends not only for water, but it extends for water, energy, stormwater, and waste. And that culminates in what we call in the municipal infrastructure pipeline, Chairperson. So there's a particular focus on infrastructure maintenance and development. Yes, municipalities some municipalities do not adequately provide budget for the maintenance and the refurbishment and the replacement of municipal infrastructure. That actually shortens the lifespan of the infrastructure. So part of the dedicated focus is around to strengthen the municipal infrastructure in the province. I'm gonna just on the energy, and that is maybe the last question, and I'm gonna ask Colin to come in on the disaster management. So yes, Chairperson, I think the project that we've done in Hesekwa was on the basis that there should be a cost-benefit analysis in terms of energy. The main focus is to become less reliant on energy from Eskom. It doesn't mean that the municipality or the town will be totally independent. It means that they will draw less energy from Eskom. It could mean, Chairperson, that the benefit of this could be passed on to businesses and households, because the municipality is now generating its own energy. And obviously, because they generate their own energy, that it is possible that the tariffs that is passed on to residents and businesses could be reduced for that part of the energy. But obviously, I think there's a threshold that the municipality maintain in terms of the demand for energy from Eskom. We've indicated that that should not be adjusted, because if that is adjusted downwards and the municipality is demanding more electricity from Eskom, it could be that the municipalities and therefore penalized. But we are convinced that based on a cost-benefit analysis that it will be benefited to the business and the households. We already see there's a huge demand for investment in Hesekwa because of the energy security. There's companies, there's service provider wish to relocate to the Riversdale in that areas because of the energy security that, and based on this initiative. Colin, can I ask you just to come in on the disaster management and the fire? And Chairperson, if it's necessary, I'll just sweep. Thank you.
Thank you, HOD. Good afternoon, good morning, Minister, Chair, and members. Just as far as the capacity building is concerned, so over the last 12 years, the province has spent more than 110 million rand on building capacity, and that's just with vehicles and equipment across the province. So every municipality in the province has received a vehicle. Some have received more. We initially focused on the municipalities that had nothing, where there were no vehicles or where there were very old vehicles. And in the first couple of years of this project, the first 3 years, we actually designed a vehicle which we provided to the municipality. Since then, we have developed a program whereby every year we ensure that municipalities are strengthened by providing them with more and more vehicles. And then there's an agreement with the municipalities that if we give them those vehicles and a disaster happens or a major incident happens in a neighboring municipality, that they will then also make those vehicles available to assist. And we saw it in January this year with the Pearly Beach fire, where we had municipalities from as far away as Swartland, West Coast, etc., responding to Pearly Beach. So the capacity building on that, the fire alarm project still continues, and that's obviously focused directly on informal settlements. The vehicles that we are building, and especially a number of the vehicles that respond primarily to informal settlements, it's very, very difficult working in an informal settlement because of the access. There's very small roads that you need to navigate to try and get through. Even though some areas are redesigned after a fire, shacks get built very quickly. So the vehicles are designed with a number of things, one of them being the size of the vehicle and the other one being making use of high pressure instead of just volume, so that you can, you've got a lot more capability in terms of being able to put out shack fires. In saying that, informal settlement fire still remains probably the biggest challenge for fire services in this country, specifically because of the fact that there's very little fire safety. So a lot of the awareness training that we do, a lot of the advice that we do around when we go into informal settlements, a lot of our awareness programs. So we have an annual awareness program where we travel to areas, a lot of rural areas, but also areas where informal settlements are. And we do a lot of fire awareness training there and working specifically with children. There's a lot of training that happens as far as getting fire services and community response teams trained to be able to work. We have also got an integrated support program for the Central Karoo, that being the disaster management center that really is in need of a lot of assistance. So we have a focused program where we actually go into the Central Karoo. We look at all their needs, all their requirements, and we assist them in that. And then we also have a provincial response capability. We've just in the process of completing our provincial flood response unit, which will be stationed in the Southern Cape, but it will be able to respond anywhere in the province should we have a major flood like we have seen in other provinces recently. It is very well resourced. People are trained to be able to work on it. So immediately there will be a large resource responding to whatever incidents of flooding there might be across the province. We also had a 5 million rand program over 3 years that is just completed, whereby we have ensured that there is a capability to manage any hazardous chemical spillages or incidents on the main roads. We've provided hazardous materials units to the district municipalities to be able to respond there. So those are the projects that we're working on. We are continuously also doing research on the smoke detectors to ensure that, that was a project that started with a lot of research, but clearly we have to make sure that we stay up, and make sure that that program does not deteriorate because of a lack of feedback. At the moment, it's been a very successful program. We have had very little feedback where smoke detectors have been that we've actually experienced check deaths. As far as vacancies are concerned, I can speak for the Chief Directorate, Disaster Management and Fire Services. We have 11 vacancies at the moment. 5 of them are in process of being filled and 4 of them are unfunded. HOD, that's my input. I'm not sure if there's anything else. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Colin. So Honourable Chairperson, we are working, as I say, we've got this grant, and I've taken note of the Honourable Member's question around the informal settlements. But the approach is also to capacitate those municipalities to ensure that there will be also a rapid response in relation to fires or disasters in those informal settlements. But it's additional work that we must continue to do, Chairperson. And I must say, just to conclude with this item, we have actually moved, given the additional funding that we got over the MTF, that puts us in a better position to elevate disaster resilience in the province. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, HOD. Yes, I think we all take fires in informal settlements incredibly seriously, and it's good to hear that there are steps being taken. And I know a lot of it is also related to the way some of these areas have been laid out and designed, and I think our municipalities also have a role to play in ensuring that those areas are properly blocked out to prevent fires from spreading rapidly. And I suppose residents also have a responsibility in that regard in terms of building. But the fire prevention aspect is something we really need to see. We need to see addressed going forward by all role players, certainly not just the province. But thank you for those inputs. Colleagues, are there any other inputs before we release the Minister and the officials? Is there anybody else? I know Member Stoffel has asked her questions already. Member Marais has a follow-up. Is there anybody else who would like to voice anything before we release the Minister and the officials? All right. Member Marais, you will be, and then Member Stoffel also has a follow-up. So those will be the last 2. Member Marais first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the HOD for the responses and the department. Mr. Chair, I just wanted to know, in terms of the Issaquah municipality, I know that currently, as I've heard, and perhaps this is what I've deduced from the responses, is that there is no exact timeline yet available in which we will see the benefit of cheaper electricity passed down to the resident. So I guess that is something that perhaps the department is still busy doing in terms of their planning and the cost analysis. But I also wanted to know in terms of the costs that will be carried for this infrastructure that is now installed. Will this be carried by the municipality, the Issaquah municipality? And what is the percentage of Issaquah's electricity demand that will be satisfied by this particular project? If they don't have the answer today, I'll be happy to wait for perhaps a presentation in the near future to be done. But this is a positive response that I've got from the HOD in terms of, you know, when businesses want to move into a specific area because there's sufficient infrastructure to guarantee, you know, smooth sailing, basically. We create that environment conducive for businesses to function, and that is a positive. So if the department can make a success of Issaquah, we can take this project to other municipalities that are also struggling, you know, in terms of electricity, but also I know that most of the municipalities' income is derived from the municipal, electricity sales. So it will be beneficial to many municipalities that are struggling, but also to be able to pass down a benefit to the consumer in the long or medium term in terms of cost. So I will leave it at that. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thanks, Member Marais. Member Stoffel.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, let me appreciate the response from the HOD and also the Disaster Management Department. But what I wanted to bring under the disaster management attention is that I have raised this before. I have said it in Pambedsto, 45 km from here. There is only a trailer with a tank on it. There's no proper trained person who can deal. What they do, they make use of the municipal workers if there's a fire, which means point number one is very risky. That municipal worker is not trained to do that fire. I didn't want it to be specific, but I appreciate the efforts that is being done by the district. Remember, there was nothing before. Then we brought it to the meeting, then the HOD. So there is efforts, but I think the efforts that is being done there should be re-looked into. And then secondly, maybe we should, with the next intake, consider the fact that we take from those kids and train them so that they stay on that town and assist, and not the district come from 200 km plus another 45 to that place to see a fire. So that is the thing that I wanted to bring under your attention. But thank you very much, Chair, for the response so far. But Chair, I wanted to ask to go to page 762. I just want to, when it comes to compensation of employees, I just wanted to ask for the department, are there any additional posts being created, or is the increase mainly just due to the wage adjustments? And then we go to page 769, expenditure analysis. Then my point of reference is that the 2026 budget for the program has decreased by 1.77% when compared to revised estimated for the 2025-2026 financial year. Now, my question is based on, we are faced with a local election later this year. I want to ask the department, is there any provision in this budget that is allocated to capacity building in the municipality after the election? Because as we all know, normally problems start after elections because you will be faced with a lot of challenges then. So I want to know. And then my last one, Chair, is on 772 expenditure trends analysis again. And my point of reference is the 2026-2027 budget amounts to 1.469 million, an increase of 0.950 million, increase of, or 183% from the 2026 revised budget. I want to know from the department, could the department clarify what a capacity plan for the implementation of traditional council entails? How the 1.469 million allocation will be spent, and which specific traditional council in the Western Cape will benefit from this support? Additionally, how will the department measure whether this funding effectively strengthens the governance and the functionality of the traditional council within the province? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Stoffel. All right, Minister and your team, if you can then just respond to some of those points and questions, and I'll also give you the opportunity then to wrap up as well, as those were the last two questions. Thanks.
Chairperson, thank you very much. I think if I can respond, and my colleagues perhaps assist. So ESICWA, so the municipality, Honourable Chairperson, has made a significant contribution. I think it's about over 40 million. So the municipality will be responsible for the repair and maintenance and the management of that facility. That is their part. The municipality has also prepared the fencing around it to secure that site. So there has been significant contributions by the municipality in relation to the ESICWA solar and battery storage project. And Chairperson, we can perhaps at a later stage give you the portion of the electricity based on the cost-benefit analysis that will influence the benefit to the citizens and the business. I take note of Honourable Member Stoffel's comment around just the further capacity. I am convinced, Chairperson, that through the work through fires and disaster management, we are giving grants to municipalities to help with disaster management in turns. But Chairperson, may I add that just recently we have collaborated with the Department of the Premier, particularly the training academy out in Cromaria, and we are busy with them and ourselves to identify graduates or matriculants inside those municipalities that can go through either a bursary program or an employment program to use the locals in that municipality. And I'm sure that this could also be extended to people that want to work in the disaster management environment and also in the firefighting environment. But it's a collaboration that we're currently doing with the Department of the Premier via the Cromaria Training Academy. Chairperson, on the elections, we are convinced that we will manage the elections, the consequent period after elections. It normally creates a period of instability. We see that the senior managers' contracts come to an end, those that are employed permanent, as well as municipal managers. We have made provision, I think it's about 7.5 million, to ensure that the transition is smooth and that there is training to councillors between ourselves, the National Treasury, SALGA, ourselves, the Provincial Treasury, to take that the councillors through training. What we also want to do, although we must still finalize the work around it, is to put the new councillors also through a process of the minimum competence in municipalities. It was quite beneficial to certain municipalities. And just on the 26-27, in terms of the the question of Honourable Member Stoffels is around the Khoisan and traditional leaders. So that funding is just internally focused, and that is to create internal capacity within the department to ensure that we dispense with our responsibility in relation to the traditional legislation. And so we know that municipalities are going through a process of, not municipalities, but the various groups are going through a process of application and recognition. It has been extended for 2 years. The Constitutional Court has made that ruling. But we are now also asking the National Department to extend the period of Khoisan groups that actually want to apply for recognition, that also be extended. That is not a final decision on it, and we are waiting for the reply. But that is money. This is 1.5 million. It's for internal capacity. It's mainly for goods and services and COE, and it's to help both the minister and the premier with the necessary research and to advise on the formation and the recognition of groups in it. Just on the COE chairperson, many of the contract positions have now been converted to permanent positions. And we have welcomed that decision by the Provincial Treasury and the Western Cape government. So we don't have any additional posts, although there's some on contract and so on that we carry. But I'm pleased to say that of the existing posts that were on contract for the last while, that those posts have now been converted and becomes now part of the staff establishment within the organization, Chair. I'm not sure whether the CFO or Franek was to add in relation to the question around the COE. Thanks.
Good morning. I will attempt at program 3. So the big decrease in program 3 was the energy transfer that would have gone through to Hessequa for 37 million. And then the video wall payment that would have gone through in the current financial year of 8 million. So that's where the big decreases were. And it just, unfortunately, when you add and subtract everything, it shows that there was an overall decrease, but the program itself has actually received quite a bit of money. Thanks.
All right. So nothing else in terms of responses from that side. Thank you, Minister. I'm going to give you an opportunity then to just provide some closing remarks.
Yeah, again, thank you, Chair. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for your oversight role. What we need also just to remember is that municipalities should be a financial, what's the word I'm looking for? They sustainable. They should be with demarcation. The municipalities should be a business entity on their own. Yes, I understand that some, and that's where some of the arguments can start, that some of our smaller municipalities, our Cederbergs, Matsikamas, etc., it's not a business unit, and they need support from government on the grants, and that is why I was a big believer in that project Consolidate, which we started in 2000. The problem currently is that, and I think it keeps the CFOs giving sleepless nights, is that more and more we need to pick up outside our mandates because municipalities just fail. So we also need to be wary that we need to put pressure on the municipalities to adhere to their functions and to come to the table. Otherwise, we're going to run in circles and we're not going to move forward. The infrastructure problem is right through all municipalities. It's aging infrastructure, and if you don't have a program to fix that over years, we're definitely going to end up with a lot of problems. And Knysna is just an example because it's in your face and you can see it, but every single day. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure in the system, but we've got a very competent team and we will keep on helping our municipalities and supporting municipalities. But thank you for your oversight role and thank you for the session. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Minister, and your team. You are free to leave the meeting now. If you really want to, you're welcome to stick around for our deliberation, but I'm sure you have other things to do. So I'll give you an opportunity for those who wish to exit the meeting now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, colleagues, we are at the position now where we are going to make our position known individually as members as to whether or not we support this budget vote 14. I am going to then ask first for members who are in favor, in support, to please raise their hands. All right, we have Member Marais, myself, Member Masipa, Member Van Wyk, and Member Dirk Wessels. All right. If you can lower your hands, please. We will then ask if there is any member who would like to not support and put forward a minority position. Member Stoffel, not in support. Member Stoffel, would you like to make a statement?
Thank you very much, sir. As the African National Congress, you are referring to Rule 90 and we want to express our minority view. Thank you, Chair, not support.
Thank you very much. Ms. Nikak, I don't want to put you on the spot. I know you're always very fast with your fingers, so you've probably already done it. But if you are able to, could you flight the report? There we go. Exceptional. All right, colleagues, then the report on the Standing Committee on Local Government, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning on Vote 14, Local Government, and the schedule to the Western Cape Appropriation Bill B1-2026, dated the 16th of March 2026, as follows. Standing Committee on Local Government, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, having considered the subject of Vote 14, Local Government, in the schedule to the Western Cape Appropriation Bill B1-2026, referred to it in accordance with Standing Rule 188, reports that it supports the vote. In accordance with Standing Rule 90, the African National Congress expressed its minority view to not support the vote. Do we have a proposer from the committee to adopt this report? We have Member Nopo Masipa proposing. Do we have a seconder? We have Member Leon van Wyk seconding. Thus, the report is approved. Colleagues, do we have any further resolutions from members that anybody would like to raise now? I see a hand of Member Marais. Member Marais.
Good day, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I think that in light of the responses from the department today regarding the Issaquah municipality and the energy resilience project that they're busy with, that is reached the 92% completion, I think it's important that perhaps we consider that they present this committee with the, in terms of the costs that will be carried by the municipality, the benefit that will be derived from this particular project. It's quite a huge amount of money that we're spending there. So we want to make sure that we're getting value for money, but also that the benefit is passed down to the resident at the end of the day. And I wondered if we could also then, the percentage of Issaquah's electricity demand that will be provided by the this particular infrastructure. They weren't able to answer that, but perhaps if we ask them to brief us, it would be beneficial to the committee and also for future projects of this nature.
Thank you very much, Member Marais. I don't see us having any opposition to that proposal, and we can certainly put it onto the list of resolutions for follow-up going forward, unless there are any objections. I see Member Stoffel.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think at some stage the committee need really a report in terms of the ICT support to municipalities. With a reference to in terms of this comparative study of this service basket. and then also the tariff structures. I think we need more information there, and we need to interrogate some of that information if needed. So I would love if the department were, especially I think it's falling under the monitoring and support, that they can come and bring us that kind of a presentation. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Member Stoffel. Noted. Colleagues, are there any other matters anybody needs to raise? All right, so Ms. Nika, can you just note those two resolutions that we place those on the list of items to consider for future meetings and agenda items. Thank you. Colleagues, that brings us to the end of the meeting. Ms. Nikak, is there anything that we've missed?
Nothing else, Chairperson. You did very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. All right, and thank you to the members of the committee. We have got through part 2 of our sessions, and I just want to thank you all for asking such well thought out questions and for being conciliatory and well-mannered to colleagues and officials, and it really is a great team to work with. So thank you very much, and best of luck for the rest of the budget process.
Thank you, Chairperson. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Bye-bye.
Well done,
Thank you.
Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Nomfundo.
Sure, Shireen. I will close. Let me stop the recording. Sorry, me. All right, you can now go.
Thank you so much, Norms.
Okay.
Listen, I'm just going to give you a call on WhatsApp quickly. Do you have time now quickly?
Yeah, let me first call Siraj.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
Norms. Bye-bye.
Okay, sure, bye.